Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Okay, so yesterday, Ned had a heart attack, right? And as Gio and Emma are planning their little Mission Impossible, take Dalton down and everything like that, they walk outside, they see Ned on the floor. And, Emma goes to go get her phone, and Gio starts to sit there, I guess, trying to administer CPR or something like that, checking his pulse. Britt comes in like goddamn Supergirl and just starts, doing like chest compressions or like, whatever that thing that you're doing and stuff like that. So she starts doing that and checking his airways and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you got Lulu and Olivia pretty much shit talking Britt. See, this all happened because Lulu went to go give Tracy a housewarming gift or whatever, and apparently Tracy's in France or London or something. And Olivia was like, as I was walking through the house, I overheard Rocco and Danny talking about Britt. Now Lulu's not happy that Rocco is keeping secrets and lying to her and stuff like that, and they start talking about Britt. And I feel like this conversation is just it's out of pocket for a lot of reasons, but mostly for the simple fact that all Olivia does is just reassure and pretty much kind of placate towards Lulu's darkest thoughts about Britt. That she didn't change, that she's gonna hurt Rocco, she's gonna lie to her, she's gonna lie to him, and as Olivia puts it, pretty much gonna be the snake that she always was, or something like that. Meanwhile, Britt was the one that was not there keeping Olivia's husband alive. And so when everything, hits the fan and, they're at GH, at some point they call Olivia. And Olivia comes down there with Lulu. And, she starts thanking, Charlotte and Gio and everybody else. And Gio's like, nah, it was Britt that wound up, keeping Ned alive. So both of those two idiots had to sit there and turn around and look at her like, oh, damn, wasn't this the same chick we were just sitting there shit talking like not that long ago? Um, then he says something like, Lucas says something like the medication wasn't working. So they're gonna have to sit there and do like a bypass, and everyone's like all nervous and stuff. And I guess for me, I started watching this show called Hollyoaks, and Hollyoaks they have no problems that they're just. But these new soap operas, they don't really kill people off. They really don't. The last person that they killed off was Sam, and I was okay with it for a couple of reasons. I was okay with it for a couple of reasons. Because one, they actually killed off the character. Two, we're gonna be honest, her character kind of like, in my mind, died like years ago. Like there's certain characters that should not actually still be on that show. Okay, I know this has nothing to do with the review. Laura should have been left. Laura should have left when Luke left. Sonny and Jason should have left a long time ago, if I'm going to be honest. Sonny's best stuff was like in the early 90s, maybe early 2000s. That was his best stuff. At that point, he should have. Same thing with Jason, if I'm going to be honest. Um. Oh, so before that, you had Liz pretty much trying to, I guess, talk Lucas out of moving in with Marcos to Spoon Island. Well, not Spoon Island, Windermere. And part of me was just like, I can't help but to sit there and think, like, see, this is why you don't, confine in your single friends. I'm like, girl, I don't know about you, but he doesn't want to be sitting there using toys for the rest of his life. Like, I'm pretty sure you seem like you're very comfortable with your small battery powered friend, but like, he wants to sit there and give this relationship a chance and is not afraid to sit there and jump in. And, you know what I'm saying? You pretty much trying to do the exact opposite. Like, that's why you don't ask your single friends for advice. You just don't. Um, Now Michael is on his date with Jacinda, and he gets to know her a little bit more. Like they talked about, well, she talked about how she wanted to go backpacking, and then she kind of realized she was not cut out for that life. And so they're getting to talk and getting to know each other. And Michael turns around, he sees Nina with Wiley. Wiley walks over, and he's asking questions, and Michael's like, "Hey, meet my friend Jacinda." At some point, Nina pulls Mike over to the side and is like, "Oh, I see you. You letting your son hang out with your sex worker." Kept like throwing that in his face, like, "Oh, well, the judge is gonna be very displeased when I take videos and document it and this, that, and the third." And first of all, Michael was like, you really should not be judging anyone given your past and the things that you done. Like still a goddamn baby because that's what she did. She stole Ava's baby. And that's some shit I am never going to let that woman live down. Probably other stuff too, but that is definitely probably like the worst that she did. Um, and so she keeps me to say, well, I'm going to tell family court and this, that, and the third. And Mike was like, yeah, it's not going to come to that because Willow's going to be in jail. And then when she's like, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway, Michael's like, okay, fine. So you can start looking for a new office space. This is when I get security to toss your ass out. You do know that my mother and Olivia, own this place that you're in right now. He pretty much, he used the power card to sit there and remind like, okay, you're gonna sit there and fuck with me, I'm gonna sit there and fuck with you. He put that chick right in her place. It was so good to watch. I think I'm actually gonna sit there and watch it again after I'm done with the rest of the shows. Um, and so, at this point, Michael goes back and he gets Nina to sit there and take a picture of all three of them. He just sit there just smiling at Nina like, you know. Now, towards the end, Willow made bail. And Willow is sitting there watching Wiley with Michael and Jacinda, aka the sex worker, and she ain't looking too happy. She's not looking too happy. Now, Chase eventually tells Brooklyn that, hey, listen, well, Brooklyn asks, are you trying to get um, Willow exonerated? He's like, yeah, I am. She don't like this. But she doesn't like it not for like out of jealousy or anything like that. She's worried, one, about his badge. Because when she's like, so does the department know? He's like, no. Like, well, I mean, would you get in a lot of trouble? She's like, well, it's a bit of a gray area. And this one, she was like, remember the last time that you lost your badge? And you felt like absolute dog shit? Yeah, I don't want you sitting there doing that again, risking it all for Willow. And then, of course, at this point, Brooklyn's like, yeah, it's possible that Michael could have did it, but I mean, yeah, and of course, this is when Chase is like, oh, I'm pretty sure Claudia Sakara will sit there and say that Michael totally can sit there and kill someone. That's like the third or the fourth time that he said that. But I know some people get a little annoyed with that. But the thing is, it's just to sit there and show that push come to shove, he can do it if he has to, or that he's capable of it. Regardless of what the situation is that he's capable of doing it. And they kind of agree to disagree. Like, hey, listen, you gotta do what you feel is right. Because now the issue where I feel like a lot of people may have issue with this whole thing is that it's not so much that he is trying to prove her innocence. It's one can sit there and look at it like he's kind of betraying the family in a sense. Because he's not just trying to prove that she's innocent. He's trying to prove that Michael did it. You know what I'm saying? The family that you married into, the family that you married into, you are trying to prove that one of the members in the family that you married into not only killed, but also set up an innocent woman. The favors of the Quartermains that you're sitting there doing this to. So, some people can sit there and be upset with that. And also, because Ned is in the hospital, even though that, well, Ned is in the hospital, so Gio can't go. And Emma's going to sit there and be by um, his side. Now, they were able to get the key fob because Britt left her purse at Kelly's, Bobby's, whatever. But after Charlotte was there talking to Emma, she was like, "Yeah, he's not going, and she's not going." So I think it was either Danny or Rocco was like, "Well, I guess we have to sit there and go." It's like that's a terrible idea, and Gio and Emma is still going to probably get blamed for it because they roped them into it. So that's going to be interesting. Now, the last thing I think is finding out that Dante is the commissioner. He hired Nate back. He accepted it. Um, gave Nate, hey, listen, Anna is doing WSB work, da 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 da, blah 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 blah, whatever. Um, they go through this whole talk. So just, you know, watch that part. But he was like, yeah, your psych evaluation is good, and you can come back and there's a point where Nathan says like he says some sort of offhand comment about the fact that the commissioner also happens to be, the son of Sonny Corentos, and how that's a bit of a conflict of interest. Then now he finds out that he's in his own bit of, conflict of interest, in a sense. While they're talking about Chase and the fact that, he believes that Willow is innocent, that's also his nephew. I mean, that's also his niece. Yeah, that's also his niece. So he kind of got to walk a fine line as well while he's sitting there telling Nate to look out for Chase because, he's usually good about like these type of situations, but there's personal conflict at play. And also he's a Red Sox fan. So apparently that's bad. Anyway, I feel like that's about it for the most part. I can't think of anything else that wound up happening that I can sit there and think of off the top of my head. But of course, if I forget anything, write in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be sitting here talking about all the soap operas, you know what they are. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Also, I don't know if I'm actually gonna have time to sit there and do a Days of Our Lives review, but I will try to put out one tomorrow since I'll be off, and I'll probably talk about, I don't know if I can remember some of the other stuff that will end up happening. I'll probably touch on some of that stuff as well. It is getting kind of late, even though it's like 8 o'clock. I still got two other soap operas to sit there and watch. So, and that has been interesting. So I got some thoughts on that as well. Anyway, with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.